Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Mess. So, Tarek and continuing series on the MiSTer FPGA DE10 Nano project, and I've got one more fun holiday special before we roll into 2024. Because FPGA Zoom sponsor Robert has given us both the stock Nintendo 64 core as well as the Turbo variant, and this holiday season Mark Kirko released Banjo Kazooie Santa's Village, which is a complete reimagining of Banjo Kazooie for the holiday season, and of course that fits right into the theming of both the channel as well as Christmas. Obviously Christmas is past, but we're going to give you guys one more gift with a fun look at this game. It is intended to run on real Nintendo 64 hardware as well as software emulation, so the fun part is we can test it here in MiSTer FPGA and see how the performance is doing. And big thanks to Andy D for helping out with this video as well. It's so much fun to see a new Banjo Kazooie experience, especially at Christmas, especially as a Christmas theme, because I originally got the first Banjo Kazooie underneath my Christmas tree the year it came out, and now being able to play a Christmas themed Banjo Kazooie game is in and of itself absolutely so much fun. There's not a ton of Christmas themed games, so getting a new one is amazing, and I love this little artwork in the back here, Banjo Kazooie sitting in front of the fireplace with the stockings hung with care. But as far as the performance on MiSTer FPGA, this is running absolutely spectacularly. Sure, there's going to be a little bit of slowdown here and there, but it's doing a ton with the engine, and it is loading a lot of different assets and models in real time. So you might see a few dips in frame rate, but you're going to see that on real hardware as well, and if you use the Turbo core, some of that will definitely get smoothed out. But it's just so amazing to see a new Banjo Kazooie experience, and it's so great to be able to play it on MiSTer FPGA as well, because not everyone has an EverDrive or other flash cart for the Nintendo 64, so this is basically your real hardware experience running on MiSTer FPGA. And that's the thing about the core, it is so good. It's not just running all the retail library of games, it's also running all of these new games as well as real hardware would do it, and that is a testament to just how good of work Robert has done in 2023. You wouldn't really expect these games to run 100% even if they ran on real hardware, because new developments can use features and implementations within the SDK and the Nintendo 64 hardware that were never actually utilized back in the day when this was on retail shelves. So that means this core is doing so well to be able to even execute these things. And I love the Mario theming in this as well. There's definitely some in-jokes, because we're going to find out that this squirrel right here was supposed to watch Mama Penguin's babies while she went out shopping, and those penguin babies have been lost. And that's been taken whole cloth verbatim from Super Mario 64, where you have to find one penguin baby and reunite it with its mother. So it's really fun to see how the mod maker here kind of used different Nintendo properties to make a new game as far as storyline is concerned. So much so that there's a Nintendo 64 on this little wooden stump here showing you that exact level. The attention to detail and care in this mod is second to none, and I do love it for that. But on a technical showcase, this is just pushing some real fun things like this ice cube here with those transparencies, and it is all running on MiSTer FPGA, and that's been a lot of the fun of the core in 2023. We don't just test retail games, we test all these different fan ROM hacks to see what is working, and I would say 9 out of 10 times it's working exactly the same as it would on real hardware, which is going to expand both the library of the Nintendo 64 for you to play as well as the fun in FPGA, because there are a ton of experiences, and it seems like Nintendo 64 is really heating up with different mod work and new games, so I'm anticipating a lot of fun stuff to test in 2024. There's a particular fan game that I have not yet tested on the core. Leave me a comment down below, because I'm sure I'm going to start testing those as well to see what is working. It's a lot of fun to see how everything runs on MiSTer FPGA, and it's been a ton of fun to do all of that in 2023, and I can't wait to see what the new year brings present-wise from Robert, because he still has a lot of work to do on the core, and I'm sure there'll be a few surprises along the way. But again, all of this Christmas theming is just so much fun, and I love this present here. It kind of reminds me of the Mimic chest from something like Dark Souls. That was definitely just an exploding present. Apparently Banjo and Kazooie were bad this year, and Santa sent them dynamite. All jokes aside, it is just such a fun thing to see. It reminds me of Christmas Nights into Dreams, not from the gameplay perspective, but just from the pure Christmas theming. And of course, because it is a Christmas game taking place in the world of Banjo Kazooie, it has Christmas themed music that really sounds like it belongs in the game. So go ahead and listen for like 45 seconds, and I'll be back with more game. It's just such a charming melody and it fits the Christmas season perfectly. But this game has a big open world structure, this hub level, and there's all of these different buildings, structures, and houses that you can go in to see what's going on. Of course, you get Tui here just ice skating around. It is a fun little touch to add some characters in that aren't technically playable yet. But as we move into an actual level, I will say that this game also brings a ton of challenge. There's definitely a lot of hunting for objects, which is perfect in the Banjo Kazooie universe. But when you get in here, this is where the baby penguins are going to be. And this is an absolutely mind-bendingly hard bit of platforming. It is always fair unless the camera gets in your way, but it can definitely be challenging as well. It throws a lot of different obstacles up on you, and you have to navigate them to get to the penguin babies to rescue them for this squirrel that we saw earlier. Not a sentence I expected to say this year, but it's one that I did. You will definitely fall a lot here. You have to get the camera in the right position, but I love the challenging platforming here. It's definitely a risk versus reward, and if you do take too much time, the entire world will fall out from underneath you, throwing you into that abyss there. But that's a lot of the fun. This is classic 3D platforming on Nintendo 64, the way you love and remember it, but it's in a completely modern context as a new game that you can play on MiSTer FPGA. And like I said, you will see every once in a while the camera's definitely going to fight you, but that would be on real hardware as well because it's still using the same engine and the same overall camera setup the Banjo Kazooie would as well. So if you haven't been playing 3D platformers on Nintendo 64 for a while, it is going to take you a little bit of time to get used to it. But again, I just can't get over the fact of how well this game runs on the current FPGA core. It's not a retail game, so it could be doing anything under the hood. A lot of these fan-made games will utilize different features of the Nintendo 64 that rarely, if ever, saw use on the retail lifespan of the console. There's more modern SDKs that do things differently as well. If you didn't see my video when we talked about Xenocrisis, that utilized an SDK that's implementation was not yet in the core, but Robert added that right before Christmas, so there are SDKs out there that can do things that real hardware can do that were never used during the lifespan of the console that need to be implemented in FPGA. So the fact that all of these things are working again just shows how far this core has come along from the start in about July. Robert's goal was always one retail game playable by Christmas, but I guess the real goal was one new Banjo Kazooie holiday game playable by Christmas, both because the modern Mark Kirko released an awesome experience and FPGA Zoom Spots has released an awesome core time and time again. And you will see when you're viewing the entire level, there's a lot of geometry here, and it will slow it down ever so slightly, but it is worth it just seeing the overall vista of a Christmas themed village here. And there's so many different characters to meet, so many different storylines to get. There is a lot of game here, and I definitely haven't even seen probably 10% of what is on offer. And that's the most fun part. I love getting these new experiences, showing them off to you guys, and being able to talk about MiSTer FPGA in the same context. And again, I'm going to be definitely checking out some new fan games in 2024, so if there's anything you want to see, just leave me a comment down below and I will definitely get around to it. Just don't be upset if it takes me a month or so. I get a lot of requests and only so much time to make these videos. But again, as we run around in this interior world here, I do not see anything whatsoever that is not working exactly as you would expect it to. All of the graphics, all of the effects, both in the actual ROM itself as well as the implementation of MiSTer FPGA here, seem to be doing exactly what they should. This just looks, sounds, feels, and plays like a real game that would have come out on the Nintendo 64 around Christmas back in the day. Kind of like how we got Christmas Nights into Dreams for the base Nights into Dreams game. Unfortunately, on Nintendo 64, cartridges were prohibitively expensive to produce compared to compact discs, so you didn't get releases like this just for fun that kind of took the assets from a game and Christmas them up for you all to enjoy. And I really am curious if that door opens up. I've never been able to figure it out, but the game hasn't been out for very long, so we will definitely see. But this is just a fun Christmas treat. It's been so much fun to follow along with the progress in the Nintendo 64 core all year long, and to be able to play a fan game like Banjo Kazooie Santa's Village on the Nintendo 64 core on my MiSTer FPGA at holiday season is just one more treat. It's the icing on the cake that has been 2023 for Nintendo 64. But tell me down below, what do you guys get for Christmas and what game have you been playing on MiSTer FPGA? I've been playing a lot of Legacy of Darkness on the Turbo core and I have not yet frozen it. There's been no issues whatsoever, and it's been such a better experience than the actual stock Nintendo 64 clock speeds. But if you're looking for something fun to play and something fun to test this December or January, definitely check out Banjo Kazooie Santa's Village. It works perfectly on the Nintendo 64 core and it's an awesome fan game. Sure that I'll be back with more Nintendo 64 videos throughout the week, but I'll see you next time. Bye bye.